February 19th, 2014. A signature is placed on a document that quietly redraws the map of the mobile internet. $19 billion. At the time, the number seemed impossible. It was one of the largest acquisitions in technology history. To put that figure into perspective, the valuation surpassed the annual budget of NASA. It exceeded the market value of historic giants like The Gap or Xerox, and was nearly equal to the value of Sony. The company being acquired had roughly 55 employees, no formal marketing department, no advertising business. Revenue was modest, yet the buyer was Facebook, the largest social network on the planet. The tech world was in shock. Why pay a fortune for a simple green messaging app that didn't even sell ads? To understand the deal, you have to understand the trauma that created the founder. John Koum was born in Ukraine during the final, decaying years of the Soviet Union. It was a place where privacy did not exist. Schools were monitored, phone lines were wiretapped, you couldn't speak freely, even inside your own home. This environment planted a seed in Koum's mind. Communication should be private. When he was 16, his family fled to the United States, settling in Mountain View, California. But the American dream was not immediate. They lived in a small two-bedroom apartment funded by government assistance. Koum's mother swept floors at a grocery store. Koum stood in line for food stamps. These early experiences shaped his worldview. He hated debt. He hated relying on large systems. And above all, he hated the invasion of privacy. Koum taught himself computer networking from used books he bought and returned to the bookstore. That grit landed him a job at Yahoo. There, he met Brian Acton. They were two engineers who shared a specific philosophy. They despised advertising. They spent nearly a decade at Yahoo, watching how data was harvested to sell ads. And they grew disillusioned. In 2007, they left Yahoo together. They applied for jobs at Facebook. Ironically, both were rejected. In 2009, the world changed. John Koum bought an iPhone. He immediately saw that the App Store was going to create a new economy. He started coding. The original idea for WhatsApp was not messaging. It was a digital address book. The concept was status. You would see a short line next to your friend's name, at the gym, battery low, or in a meeting. But the app was a failure. It crashed constantly. Nobody used it. Koum was ready to quit and look for a normal job. Brian Acton told him to wait a few more months. Then, Apple introduced push notifications. This was the turning point. Now, when a user changed their status, their friends got a notification on their lock screen. Suddenly, users began hacking the feature. They weren't just updating their status, they were talking to each other. Someone would change their status to, "Hey, how are you?" And a friend would change theirs to, "I'm good, you." Koum pivoted instantly. He turned WhatsApp into a direct messaging utility. It solved a massive global problem. In 2010, SMS text messages were expensive and limited. WhatsApp used the internet data plan, effectively making texting free. The growth was explosive, but the company remained invisible. They had no sign on their office door. They spent $0 on marketing. Brian Acton pinned a handwritten note to Jan Koum's desk. It read, "No ads, no games, no gimmicks." This was their religion. They viewed users as customers, not products. If you have to sell ads, the user becomes the product. WhatsApp refused to do that. By 2013, they had 400 million active users. They were processing a daily message volume that rivaled the entire global telecom SMS infrastructure, and they were doing it with less than 50 engineers. Silicon Valley giants began circling. Rumors circulated that Google offered $10 billion for the app, but Google wanted data, and Google wouldn't promise Koum a seat on the board of directors. Facebook saw the threat differently. Mark Zuckerberg realized that for the first time, a mobile app was growing faster than Facebook itself. WhatsApp wasn't just a competitor, it was the future of communication. In February 2014, things moved fast. Mark Zuckerberg invited John Koum to dinner. He didn't just offer money, he offered a partnership. He promised that WhatsApp would remain independent. He promised they would never have to put ads in the app. He promised they could keep their user data private. Over a tense weekend, the deal was structured. $19 billion. $4 billion in cash, $12 billion in stock, $3 billion in restricted shares. It was a staggering amount of wealth transfer. But the most powerful moment happened after the handshake. Jan Koum drove his Porsche to an abandoned building in Mountain View. It was the North County Social Services office. This was the exact building where he used to stand in line with his mother to collect food stamps. He leaned against the door of the building and signed the $19 billion contract. It was a silent message to his past, a closing of the circle. However, the fairy tale ending had a complex reality. For a few years, WhatsApp operated independently. They even implemented end-to-end encryption, ensuring that not even Facebook could read the messages. But as time went on, the pressure to monetize increased. The philosophy of no ads clashed with the business model of a publicly traded giant. Tensions boiled over. Brian Acton left the company, walking away from hundreds of millions of dollars in unvested stock because he refused to compromise on user privacy. Later, he would famously tweet, "It is time, y'all delete Facebook." Jan Koum left shortly after. The founders were out. The era of the anti-ad philosophy was over. Today, the acquisition is viewed as a masterstroke by Facebook. It secured their dominance in the mobile era. But for Jan Koum and Brian Acton, it remains a testament to a different time. It proved that a small team, focused on doing one thing perfectly, could build something more valuable than century-old corporations. I want to do one thing and do it well. This was WhatsApp, and this is the story behind the $19 billion signature. But the story didn't end with their departure. In the years following the acquisition, WhatsApp evolved from a simple messaging utility into one of the most widely used communication infrastructures on the internet. Today, it serves more than 2 billion users worldwide. While Jan Koum and Brian Acton fought to keep ads off the screen, Meta eventually pursued a different path. Instead of placing banners inside private conversations, the company expanded WhatsApp business, turning the platform into a central communication and customer service channel for millions of businesses worldwide. From marketplaces in India to storefronts in Brazil, large portions of daily commerce now rely on systems built on the original WhatsApp codebase, created by two founders focused on fast, simple communication. The $19 billion price tag, once heavily criticized by Wall Street, is now widely viewed as strategically justified, given the platform's global scale and influence. The acquisition stands as a recurring reference point in Silicon Valley, illustrating how products built with narrow focus can achieve outsized impact. It also reflects how a small, highly focused team was able to create a system that scaled beyond much larger organizations. If you enjoyed this story and want to understand the conflicts that shape technology and business, subscribe to the channel.